The trip from the bottom of the chain to the absolute top is a highly difficult journey and is riddled with various difficulties that you have to overcome to become successful in life. You might be at peak at times, while at trenches in the others. There are only a handful of people who have risen to the top of celebrity status swiftly. For others, it has been a long and tiring journey. You might be astonished to learn that some of these famous people were actually escorts before they rose to fame. Let's look at the top 10 celebrities that were escorts before they became famous. Number 1. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe, whose original name was Norma Jean Mortensen, is often considered as the first and original blonde bombshell. She was extremely popular as an actor and sex symbol throughout the world. She was also a singer. The Blue Book modeling agency offered her a modeling job when she was only 20. From modeling, Monroe gradually transitioned to acting. However, she did pose nude for Tom Kelly, a photographer, in 1949, and that too at the low price of just $50. Gradually, she was noticed by a few directors and producers, and there were rumors that Monroe used to hang out with these influential men, sometimes for even $500 per day. There have been various biographies written about her which state that she said that she used to go on dates to have a good dinner, or maybe receive money to pay her rent. Number 2. Brad Pitt. Currently, Brad Pitt is one of the biggest superstars in Hollywood. But when he first joined this industry, he only had a few $100 with him. He did have the talent and looked to become a good actor. However, he got the first role when he was late to an interview with the gay soap star, Tom Pacino. He used to work for him and run his errands, and do other house cleaning stuff for a room. That was his first job in this industry. Number 3. Al Pacino. Al Pacino is considered to be one of the best actors of his time, and his movies The Godfather, Scarface, have earned him a lot of reputation. But prior to this Oscar winner getting gigs in Hollywood, he had to work the streets to survive. He was quite poor. Pacino didn't have a house earlier and often couldn't enjoy a good meal. Pacino lived in Sicily, Italy, after he dropped out of school. Pacino told the New York Post, "At 20, I lived in Sicily by selling the only asset I had, my body." An older woman traded food and housing in return for sex. By the time Pacino made it back to the United States, it took some effort to finally get his career going, and when he did, he became one of the most famous actors in Hollywood lore. Number 4. Denise Richards. Denise Richards was a sex bomb in the 1990s and rose to fame after her marriage to Charlie Sheen, and even got the status of Bond girl. But before her success in Hollywood, she was an escort who worked for Heidi Fleiss. Richards was a high-end escort who was able to capitalize on her relationships with clients. It is no coincidence that Charlie Sheen was one of Heidi Fleiss' best customers, ended up in a relationship with Richards. The dots are easy to connect here, but after gaining favors with her clientele, Richards was finally able to break into Hollywood and left the escort business far behind her. Number 5. Russell Brand. Russell Brand has found a very successful career as a comedic actor, one that has allowed him to mingle with A-list celebrities and even land him Katy Perry as a wife. Brand is very open about his childhood, in which he was sexually abused as a child. Brand was also bulimic as a teen. His father wanted to turn him into a man, and at age 16, brought him to Hong Kong, where he hand-picked out a prostitute for his first official sexual experience. Brand had a rough go of it early in his career, battling demons with his drug addiction and claiming to be a sex addict. When Brand was young, he has stated that he needed to sell himself for sex in order to afford the drugs. He was an escort for a period of time that allowed him to get by before evolving into the celebrity we know today. Number 6. Raquel Welch. She was known as Raquel Tejada before to becoming Raquel Welch, a sex icon in the 1960s. The young Welch earned a lot of money as a highly sought-after escort. Welch originally moved to Dallas, Texas with her 2 children. There, she started a modeling career with Neiman Marcus and worked as a cocktail waitress on the side. While living in Dallas, high-profile officials were rumored to have paid for Welch's services. Welch was making a very good name for herself as an escort and never had any issues taking her clothes off. In 1979, she donned Playboy's cover. As Welch found success in Hollywood, her days of hooking came to an end. However, men can still dream about her with her timeless spread in Playboy. Number 7. Tony Danza. Tony Danza, a popular television star of Who's the Boss, didn't have such a bright life early on in his career. When he was into boxing, a prostitute was interested in him. She decided to help Danza out and pass his phone number along to a Hollywood producer she had been shagging it up with. It did work, but not how Danza hoped. Merv Griffin used to often put him in bizarre situations. For example, he had to get almost naked for various parties and functions. Griffin was often noted for such actions. However, Danza did get into Hollywood later, so everything worked out in his favor at the end. Number 8. Joan Collins. Before she got her big break as a Hollywood star, Joan Collins had to jump through a lot of hurdles. At one point, she was so frustrated that she turned into an escort. Strangely, that's what helped her create the connections with powerful producers and directors. She got her first film role as a result. At this time, there were also rumors floating around that she was getting paid quite well for her services by King Fahd of Saudi Arabia. Number 9. Sophie Anderton. Anderton had a great modeling career before becoming an expert in reality TV. The British beauty has also endured a great deal of issues with both alcohol and drugs. Anderton would use her celebrity to prostitute herself, charging wealthy businessmen $15,000 an hour to help fuel her addictions. During the day, she was drinking a bottle of vodka, while at night she feasted on cocaine. When the coke would run out, she would sleep with more men to restock her stash. Anderton blames modeling for leading her down this dark path. I'm not alone in going down this path. There is a dark side to the modeling work. Anderton is not the only model who has been pegged as a high-priced escort. It is widely reported that many models partake in this activity and command anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 a night. Number 10. Nancy Reagan. When I consider Nancy Reagan, the former First Lady, being an escort is not the first thing that comes to mind. President Ronald Reagan's regal wife shared her future husband's desire to work in Hollywood. Nancy Davis, prior to being Reagan, was an aspiring actress, and when she arrived in Hollywood, struggled to get roles. She got a job as a hostess girl. Her job was to help wine, dine, and entertain actors the studios wanted to recruit. Davis gained popularity in Hollywood by dating a number of actors prior to her meeting and eventually marrying Ronald Reagan. Once she met Ronnie, all the escorting came to an end.